Right? 1 minute to there, 1 minute. They got prasadam though, right? Okay. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Again. Gopi Janna Vallabha Girivardhari. Hey, Gopi Janna Vallabha Girivardhari. Jasodanandana Braja Janaranjana. Jasodanandana Braja Janaranjana. Jamunatira Vanajadi. Jamunatira Vanajadi. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Janna Vallabha Girivardhari. Gopi Janna Vallabha Girivardhari. Jasodanandana Braja Janaranjana. Jasodanandana Braja Janaranjana. Jamunatira Vanajadi. Jamunatira Vanajadi. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jayam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajaka Jaja Shudra Shri Srimad His Divine Grace by Charanara Vinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jayam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajaka Jaja Shudra Shri Srimad His Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai. Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. Samveda Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. Go Premanandi. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories assembled devotees. All glories assembled devotees. All glories, all glories. Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. Yes. Okay. Okay. 7943. Okay. That's interesting. All your libraries, you don't have the rest of the seventh canto.
No, we do.
I thought there'd be, okay. Okay. There's only one library, and that's the volume, huh? Okay. I guess with all of our digital media, it's no longer necessary to have books, right? Right? You can look it up. Okay. Yes, because it has, Prabhupada refers to the bharam, burden, unnecessary burden. Okay. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So this morning we're reading from the 7th canto, 2nd chapter. We're going to do verses 59 and 60. 59 does not have a purport, so I'll read that and then we'll go into today's verse, number 60. Yameta rupakaryaya tatraivantaradiyata gyatayo hi suyagyasya chakruyat samparayikam. Translation. After instructing all the foolish relatives of Suyagya, Yamaraj, in the form of a boy, disappeared from their vision. Then the relatives of King Suyagya performed the ritualistic funeral ceremonies. Okay, so today's verse. Ata sochata ma yuyam param chatmanam eva va ka atma ka paro vatra sviya parakya eva va swa parabiniveshene shina vinagyanena dehinam ta sochata mayuyam param chatmanameva va katma kaparo vatra sviya parak eva va swapara biniveshena vinagyanena dehinam ata sochata mayuyam param chatmanameva va katma kaparo vatra sviya paraka eva va swapara biniveshena vinagyanena dehinam ata sochata mayuyam param chatmanameva va katma kaparo vatra sviya parakya eva va swapara biniveshena vinagyanena dehinam. Anyone like to chant? Anyone else? Everyone's happy? Okay. Synonyms. Ata, therefore. Sochita, lament for. Ma, do not. Yuyam, all of you. Param, another. Cha, and. Atmanam, yourself. Eva, certainly. Va, or. Ka, who. Atma, self. Ka, who. Paraha, other. Va, or. Atra, in this material world. Swiya, one's own. Parakya, for others. Eva, indeed. Va, or. Swapara abhiveshanena, consisting of absorption in the bodily concept of oneself and others. Vina, besides. Agyanena, the lack of knowledge. Dehinam, of all the embodied living entities. Okay. Therefore, none of you should be aggrieved for the loss of the body, whether your own or those of others. Only in ignorance does one make bodily distinctions, thinking, who am I? Who are the others? What is mine? And what is for others? So, a purport by Srila Prabhupada. In this material world, the conception of self-preservation is the first law of nature. According to this conception, one should be interested in his personal safety and then should consider society, friendship, love, nationality, community, and so on, which have all developed because of the bodily conception of life and a lack of knowledge of the spirit soul. This is called ajnana. As long as human society is in darkness and ignorance, men will continue to make huge arrangements in the bodily conception of life. This is described by Prahlad Maharaj as bharam. In the materialistic conception, modern civilization makes enormous arrangements for huge roads, houses, mills, and factories, and this is man's conception of the advancement of civilization. People do not know, however, that at any time they themselves may be kicked out of the scene and forced to accept bodies that have nothing to do with these enormous houses, palaces, roads, and automobiles. Therefore, when Arjuna was thinking in terms of his bodily relationships with his kinsman, Krishna immediately chastised him, saying, Kutastva kashmalamidam vishame samupastitam anarya dushtam. This bodily conception of life is befitting the Anaryas, the non-Aryans who are not advanced in knowledge. An Aryan civilization is a civilization advanced in spiritual knowledge. Not merely by stamping oneself an Aryan does one become an Aryan. To keep oneself in the deepest darkness concerning spiritual knowledge and at the same time claim to be an Aryan is a non-Aryan position. In this connection, Srila Madhvacharya quotes as follows from the Brahma Vivarta Purana. I will skip the Sanskrit. That's okay. The purport is that as long as we are in this human form of body, our duty is to understand the soul within the body. The body is not the self. We are different from the body, and therefore there is no question of friends, enemies, or responsibilities in terms of the bodily conception of life. One should not be very anxious about the body's changing from childhood to boyhood, from boyhood to old age, and then to apparent annihilation. Rather, one should be very seriously concerned about the soul within the body and how to release the soul from the material clutches. The living entity within the body is never annihilated. Therefore, one should surely know that whether one has many friends or many enemies, his friends cannot help him and his enemies cannot do him any harm. One should know that he is a spirit soul, aham brahmasmi, and that the constitutional position of the soul is unaffected by the changes of the body. In all circumstances, everyone, as a spirit soul, must be a devotee of Lord Viṣṇu and should not be concerned with bodily relationships, whether with friends or enemies. One should know that neither we ourselves nor our enemies in the bodily conception of life are ever killed. Om Agyantimarandasya Gyananjana Salakaya Chakshulun Minitam Dinatasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Dina Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Svapadandikam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhaktivedanta Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Vanchakapatarubhascha Kripa Sindhu Bevacha Patidanam Bhavani Bhu Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namaha. So by your good wishes and ardent prayers, I'll try to say a few things. So, therefore, none of you should be aggrieved for the loss of the body, whether your own or those of others. Only in ignorance does one make bodily distinctions, thinking, who am I, who are the others, what is mine, and what is for others. So Prabhupada begins the purport by talking about self-preservation as the first law of nature. And that's why people like firemen, first responders, and all that, policemen, whenever you meet them, or whenever I meet them, I always ask them, it's an amazing job you have, is when everyone's running in the other direction, you run in, right? Everyone's trying to save their neck, running out of the building that's on fire or this or that, but you go in. It's pretty, so they are, I don't know what the word is, they are suspending this first law of nature, which is self-preservation. You see a house on fire, you don't think about, hey, I'm going to run into that, right? You want to get away as far as possible, or whatever, soldiers, whatever like that. So, but it is the first law. If there's some big gigantic noise, like someone just drove a car into the front hall of the temple or something like that, everyone here is going to go out that door, right? Is jump up and get out the door, and you're going to be the first one because you're the closest to the door, right? I'm out of here. I didn't sign up for this. I was just going to come for a quiet class, like that. Whoa, and just everyone goes. That's just the nature. Now there are some personalities like mothers and parents. They will, right? They block off that law, right? Maybe they grab their kids. They grab their kids. There's even these stories about mothers picking up a whole car, right, to save their child. It's like unbelievable how they just do that. But somehow or other, it's Herculean strength. They just lift up a car like that. But the general principle is self-preservation because we are concerned about ourselves. Concerned about ourselves. And all these other things, they're there, but we're important. We're very, very important in the bodily concept of I and mine. Now, Prabhupada goes into speaking about the bodily concept of life, lack of knowledge of the spirit soul. What happens is, and it's called darkness and ignorance, right? Agyan, it's in the purport here. So, people have different ideas of what does that mean, darkness, ignorance, foolishness. But the bottom line in the Bhagavatam is a lack of understanding of the soul and God. That's deep. You could be not know what investments to make in the stock market. That's a kind of ignorance, right? Not when to buy a home, sell a home, or so many different things. What's a good field to go into? Sometimes you meet someone, they spent 4 years or 8 years in college, and they get out and there's no market for their job, right? So didn't you think, So there's different kinds of, but the deepest and broadest understanding of darkness and ignorance is absence of knowledge of the soul and God, because that's who we are. We don't even know who we are. where we're going, where we came from, that's ignorance. That's deep ignorance. So, and in that ignorance, Prabhupada refers to this verse by Prahlad Maharaj, Bharam, and Dravida Prabhu is going to look this up for us and read it. Dravida Prabhu. 7:9:43. Hike. Sorry. No, you can read it. This is a famous verse by Prahlad Maharaj. Yes.
Best of the great personality, speaking of the Srimad, of course, I am not at all afraid of material existence. For wherever I stay, I am fully absorbed in thoughts of your glories and activities. My concern is only for the fools and rascals who are making elaborate plans for material happiness and maintaining their families, societies, and countries. I am simply concerned with love for them.
Now, in the word for word, how does Prabhupada translate bottom?
The false burden or responsibility of maintaining one's family, society, a nation, and elaborate arrangements for that purpose.
Okay, so there's two things there, very elaborate arrangements and false.
And very heavy.
And heavy. A burden, yeah, a burden. When you think of a burden, it's something like, wow, God. So Prabhupada is speaking about that in the purport here, that modern civilization, the definition of advancement is the bigger the arrangements are for the bodily concept of life. Right? The bigger the arrangement, that means we're very, very, very advanced. The bigger the buildings, right? There's some countries you go to, they don't have very, very high buildings. They're big, but they're empty, right? Okay. But, tall, high, very skyscrapers, they call it. Like they're scraping the sky. So high, big, 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 right? And that's considered advancement. And the wider the roads, you compare the roads here to many of the roads in India, there's quite a difference. Of course, now they're having better roads, but the road from Calcutta Airport to Mayapur is famous for being a very difficult road over the years, right? Is it still kind of difficult? They're working on it. Just now coming. So, but if you go to a country of nice roads, the roads are very nice and wide, nice cars, very nice homes. Like that, you don't live in a hovel or a grass hut. You're very advanced if you have a big, big house. Do they still call them McMansions? Yeah, they used to call them these, big homes. Like here in San Diego, you go around these big, big houses, but it's quite interesting. You got about this much room between the homes, right? You got a front yard and a backyard, but you could reach out and shake your neighbor's hand, right? If you put his hand out the window, you see this? It's amazing because of real estate. The land is so valuable. So they built these gigantic homes, but they're about this far apart, whatever that, maybe 10 feet. It's quite interesting. Gigantic homes, probably palaces, automobiles, big, big cars, and all of these things, very advanced. And sometimes I remember a reference to, they have in school documentaries about how we're becoming very, very advanced, and they always put pre-industrial time in black and white. And then when you get to this time, it's in color, full color. In other words, back then people were like, whoa, on a farm with a horse and a buggy and plowing and growing food and, things like that, all in black and white. That's like backwards. No, it wasn't. Makes us think it was. And then all of a sudden, some or other, when we have all in the modern times, all full color. Like that, all beautiful, full color, and so on. It's going to give us psychological thing going on there. But we would say it's actually not advancement. In fact, Prabhupada was asked about that. If Vedic culture was so advanced, why didn't they have all of these, amenities? amenities and, facility that we have today. Nice cars for getting around and this and that. And it's supposed to be, Veda means knowledge. And Prabhupada said they were smart enough not to, right? And he gives the example when Arjuna and Krishna saved Mayadanava from the Kandava forest, which they gave to Agni to eat because he had indigestion from all the karma kanda yagyas going on. He, out of gratitude, is a mystic personality. He, out of gratitude, said, I will give you the yantra vidya. It means knowledge of machinery, how to make all kinds of machines, and the knowledge was there. And they said, thanks, but no thanks. It would be a curse. No, don't take that, It's because we can see it's becoming more and more evident that our so-called advancement with all of these arrangements has turned the world into a living hell, and it's getting worse and worse and worse, right? If I told you, I will give you something to make you be able to go from here to there a lot faster, but the downside is you can't breathe the air anymore, would you take it? You would. Okay, well, you're amongst the majority of people. 90. Wow, that's so great, Or if I gave you this and that, then the water you can't drink. You can't drink the air, and all the food is, That's what we've done. It's not advancement at all. So, and that's what happens in the bodily concept of life. What is that? Dushparain analena cha, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita. This is a law of nature. Dushparain analena cha. That the desire to have things and enjoy in the material world is characterized in two features. Dushparain analena cha. It's never satisfied. They're never satisfied, and it burns like fire. In other words, more and more and more and more. It just you can't put it out. And just like any fire, when it gets too big, what happens? It spreads. I have a confession. I just thought about it the other day. And it's past the, what do they call that? When you break the law, but the time is enough time's passed where you're not going to get in trouble? Statute of limitations? Okay. I was only about 10. My brother was probably about 9. We accidentally started a fire in a field next to our house. We're playing. And it started getting big. So we just left. Because it looked, it's like, whoa. And just kind of like nonchalantly walked back to our house. And we heard the fire engines coming. It was a small town in western Massachusetts. I mean, but we get a little, it gets too big. You can't, we tried to put it out. Little kids like jumping up and down with their sneakers, stomping on it. It just wasn't working. It's like, let's go. And so we just kind of like hightailed it, jumped over a neighbor's fence, and went home, like just whistling like the most innocent kids in the neighborhood. Because it got too big, and that goes out of hand. It just gets out of hand. So that's what's happened in the world today. It's got out of hand because of the probably said ignorance. And what's the other word here? Darkness and ignorance. The mode of passion is like that. Is that what the word is? Conflagration. Conflagration means a big fire, right? Yeah, that's what it is. Mode of passion. That's what's going on. Samsara dava nalalita loka. It's like a forest fire. And are we exaggerating? Well, just turn on the news. All these national and international problems and wars and the economy and the environment, it's like a fire. It's all kinds of problems. In many cases, it is a fire. Right. So everyone's worried every year in Southern California, all over the world. It's getting really hot and fires. And so is this normal? Well, it's normal for those who are in this don't understand two things: this world and how what peaceful life means in the world, the laws of nature, and then you have the spiritual nature and cultivating self-realization. And so, anyways, people cultivate different things, and there's no sign that people are the majority of people and the leaders. That's the thing I want to say. The leaders of society. There's no sign that they've caught on to this. They just keep going. Right? They just keep going. And the idea sometimes is that, well, we'll just make a different arrangement. But they won't give up this feverish pursuit for sense gratification. We'll just figure another way we can slow down the pace at which we're destroying our environment and creating problems in the world. That's what we'll do. You can't stop it. No, we want to give everyone as much sense gratification as possible because we're all these material bodies and the goal of life is to enjoy your senses. So let's figure out some ways to do it that doesn't destroy the environment as quickly. Let's figure out ways where maybe we can spread the facility for sense gratification to more people. That's a noble idea. Doesn't work though, because people by nature are lazy and selfish. Do you ever hear that one? Did your mother ever say that to you? Don't be lazy and don't be selfish. Share and bring out the trash. And Mahabharat's in the kitchen today. He was telling me the other day his mother used to yell at him all the time, take out the trash. He said, I can't. He said, just one trash can. He'd do it reluctantly. He said now his karma for that is, as a married man, he has to take out the trash. That's what he does. No one else will do it. So he got his karma for talking back to his mom about being lazy and not taking out the trash. So what I wanted to read today was, this is the cultivation of advancement in this kind of a society, but we have a different type of cultivation. And there are two sections in the Bhagavad Gita that I'd like to read. It's what we're trying to cultivate. And if these are cultivated, then life is quite different. And in the Bhagavad Gita, there's two sections where Krishna explains what knowledge is. Because we mentioned, Prabhupada mentions about ignorance and darkness. So these are the things that intelligent people try to cultivate on a daily basis. So I'll read these. And the greater the arrangement is in human society to cultivate these things instead of bigger roads, bigger buildings, bigger this, bigger, more, actually will bring about a completely different, a very, very peaceful and harmonious situation for all of humanity. Because ultimately, the bottom, what's the bottom line, as they say in a Vaishya society, right? What's the bottom line? Happiness. That's all really everyone's just trying to do. They have an idea, well, we'll all be happy if we do this. It's not working, but that's what they're doing. You could say it's a noble endeavor. They just want to be happy. Like that. And I want to be happier than you. So I'm going to get more than you have, right? Whether it's as an individual or a country or a community. But here, these are things that we try to cultivate on a daily basis. I'll read these two sections. This is from the 13th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, texts 8 through 12. Here's the translation. Humility, pridelessness, nonviolence, tolerance, simplicity, approaching a bona fide spiritual master, cleanliness, steadiness, self-control, renunciation of the objects of sense gratification, absence of false ego, the perception of the evil of birth, death, old age, and disease, detachment, freedom from entanglement with children, wife, home, and the rest, even-mindedness amid pleasant and unpleasant events, constant and unalloyed devotion to me, aspiring to live in a solitary place, detachment from the general mass of people, accepting the importance of self-realization and philosophical search for the absolute truth. All these I declare to be knowledge, and besides this, whatever there may be, is ignorance. Now, each one of these qualities in the long purport, Prabhupada unpacks them, because there's a lot to be said, and just by hearing it, there may not fully understand what they mean. And Prabhupada, in his purport, unpacks them and describes in detail what it means. Now, in the 16th chapter, there's also, this is divine and demoniac nature. Krishna begins the chapter by telling Arjuna what the good qualities are that every human being should be cultivating. And what is it? Daivi sampat, which means a pious birth, if someone has these qualities. But these also we try to cultivate on a daily basis. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said Fearlessness, purification of one's existence, cultivation of spiritual knowledge, charity, self-control, performance of sacrifice, study of the Vedas, austerity, simplicity, nonviolence, truthfulness, freedom from anger, renunciation, tranquility, aversion to fault-finding, compassion for all living entities, freedom from covetousness, gentleness, modesty, steady determination, vigor, forgiveness, fortitude, cleanliness, and freedom from envy and from the passion for honor. These transcendental qualities, O son of Bharata, belong to godly men endowed with divine nature. Now, someone may say, well, if we cultivate all these qualities, that means we're going to go back to living like cavemen or something like that? No. There's two things. One is Vedic culture would exist for thousands and thousands of years. Everyone was quite comfortable and peaceful. That's the whole thing. And the happiness was there and peacefulness was there. Because it showed that you don't need all of these arrangements. And all these arrangements, Prahlad Maharaj also says in one of his verses, that when you try to solve problems that naturally occur in this material world by some material arrangement, what happens is you don't solve the problem, you usually create another problem on top of it. There you go. There's a Sanskrit. A very good example is modern medication, a lot of it. You hear a commercial for, I think Mahabharata was telling me this. You hear this thing is for depression, right? So they have this nice scene, these happy people, no longer depressed, It's like, woo! With the family and the kids and the wife and the neighbors, and there's a barbecue with the playground. No, not, okay. And then it goes into either in writing or someone talking at 78 RPMs about all the side effects. And this one medicine had all these side effects about, your liver's going to bleed, your eyes are going to pop out, all kinds of things. And it said also depression. Now you're taking the medicine for depression, but one of the side effects could be depression. Of course, you read all the side effects, you get pretty depressed. I don't know if I want to take it, but that's an example. Now that's not the bad mouth medicine. They're doing, whatever it is, but it's something to consider. And it's the example that Prahlad Maharaj says. They make this medication, and the problems it creates can be even worse. In fact, what happens is you have a medication. Many times my father-in-law suffered from this. Put him on a medication, and then that medication gives you a stomach ache. So they give you another medication to take care of the stomach ache, but that stomach ache medication makes your back hurt, so they get you something for your back. And what happened was he had what they call it, a toxic something or other, went into like shock, and they brought him to the doctors, and the doctor said, "Who's your doctor?" He had like so many pills, one on top of the other, and almost killed him because he's taking this for that, for this, and they just cut it out. He brought him down to back to like 2 medications for his heart. Yeah. So the point is, the more we endeavor for making arrangements in the material world beyond what's needed. No one's saying we should, just like there was some verses in here, it seemed like being completely renounced and so on, and starving yourself or what. No, you take what you need. You take what you need. And that differs from person to person. Prabhupada gave a very obvious example. If you work like a horse, you can eat like a horse. And if you work like a like us? Or if you what's something that doesn't work? No, something doesn't work very hard. A mouse or a sloth or something like that, it's very little. You don't need much. So according to your work, you eat. So same with all different arrangements. Everyone has different arrangements. Just like it's understood, like a person in charge of a company or a country or this or that, they need a lot of facility to do their job. They're taking care of everyone. And also they should be offered all respect, a nice place to live and this and that and facility, because they're doing a lot. And if you're not doing anything, then you don't need much. You don't really need much if you're not doing much, right? What do you need? You don't need much at all. So according to what you're doing, the arrangement is there. So on one hand, this would be called, this is revolutionary or unheard of, but actually it's time-tested, that the more people are cultivating higher qualities, more people are cultivating a spiritual awareness, then they're just not interested in doing more than what is necessary for themselves and for the true betterment of human society. That's important too. Para dukhi, dukhi. One is very, very sad to see the sufferings of others, and they work very hard to help other people, get along in life. One's not selfish. There's one of the things in here about being selfish, self-centered. That's not what we're referring to at all. So, because of the time, we can end here. There may be some comments or questions, corrections. Yes, the microphone right next to you.
Prabhu, for the nice class. Real quick before I ask my question, I just wanted to give my own experience of, I remember before Krishna consciousness, I went to my doctor to get some medication for that. He gave me the prescription. I went to the pharmacy, I got the medication, and I looked at the list of side effects. It was like a book. They gave me like a book practically, and as I was reading it, it said, "Oh, by the way, this may make you want to kill yourself. It may increase suicidal thoughts." I know that it can be quite daunting sometimes to look at those lists. I'd say that's putting it mildly. Some of those qualities seem so lofty, that one could actually become resentful.
Depressed and go to the doctor, look for some medication for depression.
Yeah, exactly. Well, so what I wanted to ask you is, how does one develop a relationship with meditating on those qualities in a way that doesn't invoke sort of resentment or lack of confidence, but rather they meditate on those qualities that Krishna gives, and it actually inspires us to embody those qualities?
Okay. Well, one short answer is that it's a progression. Just like if you say someone has a lot of money. Do you have a lot of money? Do you think you have more money than he does?
Maybe a little bit.
Really? You should move in, because he doesn't have anything. But it's relative, okay? He's got a lot of money compared to him. And maybe you, sitting there, is worth millions. You never know, right? Just like when Ambarish started coming to the temple in Detroit, just came as, just Bhakti Al. But he's, Henry Ford's great-grandson. No one knew that he was worth so much. So it's all relative. So when you say someone's humble or humility, there's absolute humility, like Raghunath Das Goswami or Krishnadas Kaviraj, feeling himself to be lower than the worm in the stool and so on. But that's the highest level. But on all these different qualities, we can cultivate them in our own lives, and gradually, they become more and more and deeper and deeper and deeper, because all these qualities in their fullness are actually symptoms of the soul. They're not things you add. You don't go to school to humility class and prideless class and this class, and you learn it and take a test, and it's a question of bringing out the natural qualities of the soul and pure goodness. But to know they're there and to appreciate them, it's actually wonderful. It's actually very wonderful. I mean, because like the 16th chapter, right after those verses, what does Krishna say? Well, let me tell you about the other side. It goes on, and I was like, wow, I don't want to cultivate those ones, because I'm definitely going to make a mess of my life and mess of the world. And in fact, that's the verse I was going to quote. What is that? People are absorbed in this way, unbeneficial, horrible works meant to destroy the world. I mean, that's pushing it. So we have to have some qualities. So why not try to cultivate or bring out the best we have? And all we're asked to do is the best we can do. Here's a good one. You ever heard this one before? Everyone is a work in progress. right? Everyone's a work in progress, like that. It's like Bhakti Saul. Remember the days when he used to fall asleep during japa? Remember those days? He hardly does it ever. He doesn't do it anymore, right? He's come a long way. We all have. We've all, right? I remember the day when I first gave a Bhagavatam class. Everyone fell asleep. I fell asleep. It was bad. It was a bad class. We all fell asleep. So I've come a long way, right? So I hope that helps in the sense that they're wonderful qualities. And by having them, our relationships with other people, the whole world is much more brighter and happier. But we're all works in progress, you know? But we should be aware of them and try to cultivate them. And they automatically become manifest as our hearts become pure. That's the beauty of Krishna consciousness, because we're bringing out the nature of the soul. Hope that's good enough. Yes, Dravida Prabhu, please.
Elaborate a little bit on the last comment.
When I first read this list and the purport, it seems that these are qualities that are conducive to advancement in devotional service, and also the result of devotional service. In other words, if you're practicing Krishna consciousness and you read this for the perception of the evil of birth, death, old age, and disease, well, that's fairly easy to see if you just think about them. I mean, Maya kind of helps you, tries to encourage you not to think about them and try to enjoy. But if you really accept them, plus the idea that we're eternal and we're going to go through again and again and again, we have gone, then it's a great impetus to practice devotional service. And you become able to say, yes, I'm practicing devotional service, and one of my motives, at the beginning anyway, is to get free from these four. And the others that you find, even mindedness of pleasant, unpleasant events, well, that you can cultivate that, raga, dvesha, vimuktais too, by accepting the regulative principles of freedom in the verse in the second chapter. So these qualities are conducive to devotional service, and they develop if you actually practice devotional service. Humility, everyone's thinks he's pretty great. Even you walk in the temple, you say, well, I'm quite advanced, I know how to do this asana, that asana, and you're like, but then you walk in and Bhakti Tom, can you take out the trash, and it's a moment of truth. If you think, I'm too much qualified to take out the trash, then you got to leave. You're not in the ashram anymore. But if you do that, then you take a humble position and cultivate some humility. So I see this list that way. The other list, I think, is also according to the varna, or the ashram name. Sannyas first.
The purport, he brings that fearlessness of sannyas and all like that. I'm going to end with two things because of the time. One is, Prabhupada was once asked, what does it mean to be a devotee? Prabhupada said, to be a perfect lady and gentleman. So what does that mean, to be a perfect lady and gentleman? These qualities are there. But to be a perfect lady and gentleman, that's what it means to be a devotee of the Lord. And then the other one was, it's a quote by, I don't know if he's the origin of the quote, but I forgot his name just now. The quote is, the goals you pick in life, you should pick goals in life for what they'll make of you. Right? So in other words, our goal is if our goal is to become devotees, advance in our spiritual awareness, just think of all the things we become by picking that as a goal. So that's how you choose your goals in life, right? Not like Prabhupada gave that example, but when is it, Dainapan? They just finished a big meeting about printing all kinds of books and all that, and Tamal Krishna was there, and they got all these good anyways, and afterwards, I don't know, Srila Prabhupada, maybe Srila Prabhupada asked, there was a big table of all these executives. Dainapan, I don't know if it's still around today, but at that time, it was a huge printer in Japan. Big printer. One of the biggest probably at the time. And the executives have pretty much left, and there was a junior executive there, kind of left, and Prabhupada asked them, what's your goal in life? And he didn't say anything, but he took the stick, because everyone had left their business card, where they were sitting. So he took all the business cards, the president of the company, all the vice president, all this and that, and he's probably pretty on the bottom of the stack, totem pole. So he took the business cards and stacked them all up and put his card on top. Also, that's what he wanted to do. Rise all the way to the top. So that was his goal. And what would it make of him to work for that goal? So we always have to ask ourselves, even in the Bible, there's a verse about count your costs. Jim Rohn, that's the person I'm thinking about. Jim Rohn said that. Your goals you pick in life are based upon, what will it make of you? What's it going to make of you? So if you want to be a devotee, you have all these wonderful qualities. So yes.
Several times Vijay has asked me to change this word in the list. One should always be aware of the evils of birth, death, old age, and disease. Now, the common understanding of evil, how is death evil? It's just a fact of life, But the point is, in the English language, Prabhupada would often use it, and he would be calling on the English that he learned in the early 20th century, which is English. Mm-hmm. And this meaning is more prominent in the Oxford English Dictionary, but it's still here in the American Dictionary. A harmful aspect, effect, or consequence. So this is death is a harmful effect of being an illusion, of being within the. In other words, it doesn't necessarily mean what we all can think of evil. Like Hiranyakashipu is evil, or what evil is, a monster. But it's anything that causes harm or that is a negative thing, which is these four things. So evil, Prabhupada uses that in other places in the Gita also. You'll find it. To be indifferent to the evils and good things, be equipoised, that type of thing. So just be aware that when you read, that's what it means. It means things that cause you pain, suffering.
Okay. So we can end here. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.